Hello and welcome to Sophie & Co. I'm Sophie Shepard-Nate. Afghanistan has been a black hole swallowing people and the resources of anyone brave enough to step in. After years and years of battles, first with the Soviets and then the Americans, the land is still locked in strife. Is Afghanistan hopeless? Well, there is one person who definitely doesn't think so.
To be born in Afghanistan and a female, what could be a harder lot for a person? As a baby, she was left to die in the sun, not to have to suffer all her life. But she survived and advanced and believes in the future of her homeland. Fausia Kufi wants more than just to improve the fate of women in Afghanistan. She wants to be the first woman president in the history of her land.
And our guest today, Fausia Kufi, an Afghan politician running for president in 2014. Fausia, it's so great to have you on our show today. Well, first of all, let me just say that I admire your courage to do what you are doing in Afghanistan. I'm aware the situation with women's rights in Afghanistan is far from being perfect. It's almost a curse to be born a woman there. But still, you seem to be optimistic about changes to the lives of Afghan women. Well, walk us through how exactly have things changed for women in your country since 2001?
It's a pleasure for me to be in your show. Thank you so much for what you have said. Well, I think for the woman's life, I can say it's a colorful picture. Like there are some green zones which talks about progress women have had, both in terms of politics, social life, comparing to the Taliban government or to the Taliban regime, which was actually a nightmare for women in Afghanistan. I was living under that situation myself as a woman in Kabul. I know what does that mean to be as a woman under Taliban. But comparing to that time, to that regime, I think a lot has changed, especially women participation in politics. Right now in the parliament of Afghanistan, we have 69 women parliamentarians out of 200 number of parliamentarians. Women can go to school, they go to universities, they can participate in the social affairs, economic affairs. So that's like the green, colorful part of women's life. There is the black side also, which is the violence against women, kind of structured discrimination that women are suffering.
We'll talk about the withdrawal process in just a little bit, but I want to focus first about your candidacy as a president. You're, first of all, country's first female deputy speaker of parliament, and you're running for president in 2014. And although some things may be different, like you've said, it would take a total transformation within Afghan society to elect a female president. I mean, even in the countries with long-running democracies, it's rare. So realistically, how do you rate your chances? I understand it's a very difficult situation, especially for a woman to be in the top leadership position. It has been possible in other neighboring countries of Afghanistan to have women as their leaders. I understand that the country is hugely military, still weapon and guns are in power rather than just people's voice. But in the meantime, we have to start it from somewhere. I believe that we are putting the cornerstones for future. So no matter what the election results would be, but the important thing is that we put the right cornerstone for the future. Mm-hmm. Okay, but obviously so many questions arise because you are, this symbol in the midst of this like black country that everyone is afraid of, and all of a sudden you have this beautiful woman running for president, and obviously everyone's asking, who are your main supporters politically? Does it come mainly from inside or outside?
Well, I believe inside the country, because that's what I need, mostly the support. I need the vote of people. I think my supporters are not limited to one particular province or one particular ethnic society or tribal society. Although I come from North, and certainly in politics, every politician has their own constituents. And I hope that my basic constituents will support me more. But I trust, as I said before, this transformed part of Afghan society, which include women, young generations, elderly people as well, will support me. I was lucky enough to raise my voice and make it be heard by many people around the world.
who believe that Afghanistan need a change of leadership, and they support me also. They believe that Afghanistan cannot continue to be ruled by the same people who have been involved in destruction of the country, and now they would like to run and be part of the democracy process. Democracy, people who believe in democracy should actually be part of the process. Democracy, the good thing about it is it gives chance for everybody to run, for everybody to participate in politics. But if you bring people who don't believe in democracy in the power, in the position, certainly it doesn't work. Democracy will not survive. So there are people inside Afghanistan who believe in the better future for Afghanistan, a future where we don't have to just rely on the foreign aids, rely on the foreign support, but be a country where we stand on our own feet. There are many people in Afghanistan that will still believe on that vision.
But when you say main constituency of your electorate, is it mainly women, or do you think men will also vote for you?
I actually have a good experience of the past two elections where not only women supported me, certainly I got a lot of votes from any female polling station, but men also voted for me. And I'm hoping that I get the support of both. Well, I trust there will be more votes and supports from women, but in the meantime, I trust that that I will have the support of male voters as well, because my focus of programs is not just only on women, it's for the country.
The present government under President Karzai has been praised by many, but also criticized for being completely controlled by Americans, not being independent enough. Now, you yourself, you have great friends in the West. You're friends with a lot of powerful people. Do you think, are you worried that within your country, your Western links could work against you?
It's a very difficult question. I actually rely to my people. I just think that my main supporters are my people. And I believe any politician who doesn't believe on his or her people, who doesn't rely on his people or her people, will not be successful. I know that we need to have a longer-term strategic partnership with our friends, both our historical friends, but also our strategic friends. But in the meantime, I know that if I don't have the support of my people, I will not politically survive. And I know that if President Karzai doesn't have the support of his people, he will not survive. He initially was regarded as a president that is very much pro-West, or he received a lot of support by Western countries, in particular the United States. But unfortunately, we see a shift of politics in his policy. Recently, he kind of changed when we had the Loya Jirga, or the Ground Council, that they voted for the approval of the security agreement with the United States, but he doesn't still sign it. So we have seen a slight shift of policy from him when it comes to his politics towards Western world. But I guess we will have to keep a balance of our politics toward regional countries. In the meantime, we can continue to keep good friendship with our strategic partners that have almost saved Afghanistan from the hands of extremism post-Taliban.
But let me rephrase the question. Only with the support of your people, without the support of your strategic partners, or the West, as you call them, could you win the elections? Only with the support of your people?
I think any candidate who would like to win should have the support of both the people, and also should have the approval, or so to say, the kind of final approval of the international community. But we would like the election to be very much fair and fine in the hands of Afghan. And we really want the Afghans to decide about their future, because that's the basis for democracy.
So also it brings me to another huge topic, which is Taliban. When I think about it, I mean, I feel like it's inconceivable that Taliban would actually let a woman run the country. They tried to kill you twice. There was an attempt on your life. They will probably do it again, because there is no stopping them. Is it worth the risk?
Well, it's not only, that, as you rightly mentioned, it's not only one or twice that Taliban actually tried to kill me. It's a continued threat. Even just a couple of days ago, I was warned that I need to be careful because there might be kind of organized attempts. I think, that I have grown up during a very critical time of Afghanistan history, during basically the conflicts, the 35 years of conflicts. I have had the choice always, either to stay in Afghanistan or to experience a different experience. But for me, the best choice have always been to at least contribute to the change in my country. I know sometimes it becomes so difficult, and I'm like, I think twice or three times before I make a decision, especially when it's a big decision about the future of politics in my country and my role in that, big elections, etc. I take twice or three times because I know that the risks are great, especially that I have two daughters and my own family. I have a responsibility towards my daughters as well. But I guess if you balance my threats comparing and challenges, security challenges, comparing to what I want to achieve and what I want to do, my visions for this country are much more heavier and greater than the security challenges. So I kind of ignore the challenges and prefer to continue what I do.
We're going to take a short break now. When we come back, we'll talk to Fausia Kufi about Afghanistan's drug problem and life after the U.S. troops withdrew. Stay with us. Back with Fausia Kufi, who is running for president of Afghanistan in 2014. Great to have you back. So we were talking about Taliban right before the break. Let me ask you this. If you are elected president, would you consider sitting down at the negotiating table with the Taliban?
It's a very interesting topic for discussion, but in the meantime, very tricky. As I said, I have lived all my life in Kabul, including the Taliban time. And I have experienced their brutal regime as a woman, of course. But when I'm as a politician, I have to be flexible to bring peace and security to my country. So I will certainly pursue any discussions and negotiations with any group that will result peace in my country, including Taliban. But in the meantime, I know that the government of Afghanistan has been following the so-called peace process for the past 3-4 years, and the result that they got from this peace process was more assassination, more killing of our leaders, more violence and suicide bombing, and less peace results. So I think that the current peace process in Afghanistan needs to be revised. And I think we have to bring more regional powers on board, and especially those countries that they have actually been supporting terrorism and extremism. They have been training them, they have been providing with equipment, namely, in this case, Pakistan. We need to talk to them because the current president also said that if Pakistan would like to establish and support peace process in Afghanistan, peace will come to Afghanistan. So if our president also, the current administration also believes that peace key is in the hands of Taliban, then in the hand of Pakistan, then I guess we should talk to Pakistan and involve Pakistan in a honest peace process. But I will certainly not talk with those people who will not change. Mm-hmm. I will not waste my time. Instead, I will just try to deliver good governance, rule of law, poverty eradication, try to establish a government which is accountable, and I think Taliban will automatically be marginalized. I think it's a waste of time and a waste of resources to continue to pursue a process where the results are zero, right? The current process of peace, which the current administration undertakes actually.
Well, there is a high probability of Taliban resurgence after the U.S. troops withdrew in 2014 in its past form, not reformed Taliban. Do you and Afghan citizens actually want the Americans to stay? Because it's a very controversial topic outside of Afghanistan.
Well, you know that a big council, which is called Loya Jirga in Afghanistan, it's a very traditional means of decision about national issues, decided that the government of Afghanistan should go ahead and have the security agreement with United States. Partly, you know that our history is full of fight for freedom. These are values that each and every Afghan will fight till last drop of their blood. But in the meantime, because of the wrong neighborhood we are located, especially the two neighbors that we are located, both Pakistan and also somehow Iran, we don't have good experience of their influence in Afghanistan. They have been reshaping their policies in a way that that it's more insecurity and promoting insurgency in Afghanistan. So therefore, I think people in Afghanistan would like to continue to have a partnership with a country which is, you know, in a way a superpower and have a backup of a strong country. That's why these group of like 3,000 elders that came from different parts of Afghanistan yesterday, they have approved the Afghan government to sign this agreement. So I think the nation of Afghanistan would like to have, you know, if you compare now with 1996 or 1997, where Afghanistan was in the hands of people from, you know, Pakistan, even Arabs, I think there is no difference between the current occupation and the occupation then. So Taliban, when they claim that Afghanistan is an occupied country, I think they don't have a valid point. And therefore, I think many people in Afghanistan would like to continue to have the same situation, not to reverse back.
Well, you've brought up the word occupation because, yeah, to many it does seem like, even though it's a partnership and it's a civil partnership, it does seem like a civil occupation, so to say. Do you think that your country will ever be completely independent in your lifetime, for example, without Americans looking after Afghanistan?
Well, Afghanistan is defined an independent country. But I mean, it is a country that has its independency. But in the meantime, I agree that you know, there are foreign troops. According to the agreement, security agreement, we will have the troop for another 10 years. I'm hoping that 10 years will be enough time for Afghan forces to stand on their feet and to be able to defend the country's territory themselves. And financially, you know that Afghanistan is located in a very important geographical location that connects Central Asia to South Asia. Right now, this location is being used as our weakness. But I hope that the 10 years period of agreement with United States and their troops present will give a chance for Afghanistan to change this weakness as a strength in terms of the business and the commerce between Central and South Asia, and Afghanistan to be used as a trade point for connecting many opportunities in this two region. So I'm hoping that in 10 years' time you will be able to have a country which stands on itself and doesn't have to rely on foreign aid just only.
Well, can you imagine just for 1 second that in 2014 NATO and American troops withdraw? I'm just trying to get a clear picture of what shape your country is in right now. What would happen? Would your government collapse right away, or would it hold on?
Well, there are two scenarios. There is one scenario which is a negative scenario, and that is that if foreign troops withdraw and Afghanistan is once again abandoned, as it was in 1992 and 1996 when the civil war and the Taliban fighting and regime came to power. The negative scenario would be that Taliban might come back to power, and because there are many groups in Afghanistan that will not like Taliban brutal regime, they will start fighting against Taliban, and so the civil war will begin once again. But there is also the positive scenario. The positive scenario is that we will be having an election in April 2014, We will have a political transition of power before the military exit or the military transition. So this political transition will bring a strong, committed, accountable government that is acceptable by people of Afghanistan, and that government will pave the way for military transition, and slowly this military transition will happen without collapsing the institutions of Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. I'm very much hopeful that the second scenario will be likely possible.
Okay, just really quickly to sum it up, you know, a lot of people in America are actually growing tired of wars, involvements, American involvement in foreign countries. Has it ever crossed your mind that U.S. may have grown weary of Afghanistan and it sees Afghanistan as a burden and regrets its involvement? And also greatly depends on who's going to be president next, because their foreign policy and involvement varies on president to president. Have you ever considered that they just at some point would not want to be in Afghanistan, period?
Well, you know, let me make it clear that United States was not in Afghanistan just to help people of Afghanistan, but they came to Afghanistan after 2001 when the 11th September attack happened. So they didn't just come to Afghanistan to help Afghan people only, but they came to Afghanistan to make it a safe place where the security threats will not kind of grow from this place to become a world threat for insecurity. So therefore, Americans are not just here because of Afghans, but they are here because of a greater issue, which is the world security and their own security. And I hope that this partnership will continue, because both nations of Afghanistan and United States have been victims of terrorism. They experienced it in 1991, and the threats are continued. We have experienced it before that. I hope it doesn't depend on presidents, but it basically depends on, becomes part of core strategy for United States to continue to support Afghanistan. I know that they have invested blood and treasure in Afghanistan, and we admire that. We also paid a high price for being a victim of terrorism and for being for paying wrong politics of different countries during the Cold War. Yeah. A lot of big amount of money was paid to different groups during the Cold War without looking how the money was spent, and finally the Taliban groups were established, and as a result of that, we were the victim nation, because not only that we paid the kind of human cost, but also our education and all values were damaged, and basically we had to restructure everything. So I think it's a relationship which is in the interest of the both countries, in the interest of the both nation, and I hope the Americans will understand that more than the Afghans.
We only have 1 minute left, and I want to touch upon one of the most difficult subjects and topics for Afghanistan, which is drug addiction. Because proportionally right now, Afghanistan has the largest population addicted to drugs. Do you have a plan how to deal with this?
Well, as we are a victim of regional terrorism, you know that we are also a victim of regional mafia. I hope we will get a stronger support from the regional countries for the trafficking, to support get rid of the trafficking and have a regional honest support on this. On the eradication. Why should we talk? Why don't we talk about Afghanistan fruit, which is the best fruit in the world? Afghanistan karakul, which is the best kind of antique things in the world. I think we can promote those kind of agricultural things and provide farmers with an alternative instead of just poppy.
No, I hope that happens when you become president, but the question is, how is that United States and Afghan government, the current government, allowed such mass drug production? Because I know that at some point Taliban had dropped it to nothing, but now the drug output increased many times during the American presence. Why? What's going on?
Well, it's a very complicated. Matter, but it's very much linked to security. As security started to get worse and insurgency arose since 2009, I guess. The poppy cultivation also started to get more and more, especially in the places where there is more insecurity. There is more poppy grow. And I think that's a link with insecurity. My plan would be, if we have a strong government that's accountable and a team that is really honest, and works hard, both in terms of education, providing farmers with alternative, which is reliable, but in terms of regional cooperation for trafficking, I think it's again, once again, a war product in Afghanistan. Traditionally, people of Afghanistan have not been cultivating poppy. It's a war product. When there is no fighting, I'm sure people will go for a legal way of income.
Thank you so much for this wonderful interview. We wish you all the best. We wish you to become the president of Afghanistan. We'll be rooting from you from over here. So all the best to you and your country. That's all we have today. I'm Sophie Shepard-Natsa. Join us next time here on Sophie & Co.